Boys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. It is Ron from Fantasy Flow. This video, we're going to be talking about the waiver wire, man. So it's week 6 waiver wire pickups. This might be one of the more important waiver wire weeks of the fantasy season so far because it's got a lot of guys who we now know they've cemented themselves in either that RB1 spot, that wide receiver 2 spot. These are dudes that they're probably owned in a lot of deeper leagues. So I think a lot of people are going to watch this video and be like, dude, how can you recommend Chase Brown? He's already picked up. I'm going to try to get a couple names that maybe are a little bit deeper, a little bit more unowned, try to dig deep into that waiver wire. But for the most part, this might apply more to like your more shallow leagues where some of these guys are on the waiver wire. So without wasting any more time, boys, we're going to hop into the waiver board. And on the waiver board, I basically segmented it into running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks. So we're going to start with running backs. Pretty straightforward, dude. I don't want to make this video super long like usual. I think waiver wire videos don't really need to be so long. It's just, who should I pick up? And it's fucking simple, right? Like, fantasy analysts, fantasy content creators, we're not geniuses, right? It's like, who is not on a roster percentage-wise and who's been playing well? That's the fucking strat, dude. It's not rocket science. But in any case, I think it's a good idea to just like bring up the dudes, talk about how much money we might be spending on them in terms of fab or in terms of maybe using your waiver wire video. And at the top, dude, I couldn't really determine who I like more. I'd have to say because of how the Bengals offense looks, it has to be Chase Brown at the number 1. Bengals offense is just firing off all cylinders. Zach Moss seems to, get a high ankle sprain at the very least. Report came out Monday night that it's not a severe injury, but based on the look of it, I think he's going to be out for a while. And even if he's not, even if he comes back, it did look like Chase Brown was taking over. So that's why I would put like up to 70% of your fab on Chase Brown. In my opinion, he's like an RB2 rest of season, regardless of what happens. Rico Dowdle is the next guy, basically a little bit different than Chase Brown. He didn't need an injury, but it seems like he's took over the backfield. He had like 18 fantasy points or 19 fantasy points in week 5. And he's the RB1, man. He actually looked great against a really stout defense. Tank Bigsby is the third guy. Tank Bigsby is somebody that I'd also spend about 50%. I think Dowdle and Bigsby. I prefer Dowdle just because I think he's going to be RB1 rest of the season. I don't think Dalvin Cook's going to threaten that. But with Tank Bigsby, on the other hand, he's outplayed Travis Etienne in almost every way. I even made a dedicated video about what to do with Travis Etienne last week. Go head over and check that out. But the takeover is complete, bro. Tank Bigsby is now the RB1 for this team, in my opinion. Now, maybe that's a little hyperbolic. I know the coaching staff did say Travis Etienne is still our guy. But at the end of the day, if Tank Bigsby is going to get early down work, if he's going to be more explosive with the opportunities he does get, even if he's not the like RB1 and getting starting reps and stuff, I do think he outperforms ETN moving forward. Now, any ETN fans, I'm sorry, but that's just the way I see it. It's just he's just been outplaying him in every way by a lot of like advanced metrics. Bucky, Irving, and Kareem Hunter in this like third tier. Basically, Bucky Irving also similar to Tank Bigsby seems to be like the main guy. Like they use him a lot on goal line. And while he did kind of look pretty shit in week 5 and like he had the opportunity, they gave it to him and he didn't really look good, I still think he should be like a decent pickup moving forward. You should be able to play him at like the flex in good matchups. Kareem Hunt, we saw last night, Monday Night Football. He was the clear RB1 for the Chiefs. Actually looked pretty decent. Like he always had good vision. Yeah, he maybe doesn't have the same burst, but good vision. RB1 moving forward. Tyrone Tracy also looked really good. He didn't have a single rush of negative yardage. Like all of his rushes gained net positive yardage. Looked good, but the reason I don't have him higher up as like he could be the RB1, right? If he was like if we knew he would have the backfield to himself. But the reason I have him down here with only like a 15% fab spend is the fact that Devin Singletary should be back next week, if not the week after, and then Tyrone Tracy might actually have carved himself out a little role and he might get a lot more work, right? But I don't think Devin Singletary is just going to straight up lose his job from injury. Like that doesn't tend to happen. You never know. They might want to give the young guys some work. Ty Chandler, Jaylen Wright are also down here in this bottom tier. Jaylen Wright just like looked good with the small amount of work he got. Devon Achane did get injured. I believe it was a concussion or it might have been a shoulder injury. I forget exactly. But Jaylen Wright looked good, right? And Mostert also looked good. So that's why I don't have Jaylen Wright higher as well. Ty Chandler, Aaron Jones did get knocked out of the game. So Ty Chandler came in, actually looked decent. He got most of the work. It was a tough matchup, but he'd be, he's a good handcuff as well as potentially a spot star in the next week. Moving over now to wide receivers. I'm just going to keep the quarterbacks hidden for now. Darnell Mooney's at the top of the list, but I know he's probably owned in most leagues. But if he's not, you got to spend pretty much everything. He's a bona fide wide receiver 2, getting wide receiver 1 type volume, especially in games where they pass a lot. You got to break the bank for him, open up the coffers. Josh Downs, another one. He has the same targets per route rate, yards per route run, target share, everything like Jamar Chase and Malik Neighbors. It's insane. It is no, not Jamar Chase, sorry, but Malik Neighbors. Like, they're matching pretty much 1-to-1 in the games that they've played together this season, in the games that both of them have played this season. So Josh Downs has looked great. As long as Flacco starts, Josh Downs is going to be bona fide, like, startable asset every week. Even with Richardson, we saw some good target share and stuff with Richardson and Downs. So I love Downs moving forward. Jalen Tolbert looked really good, gets the game-winning touchdown. CeeDee Lamb kind of gets blanket covered. So wide receiver 2 for the Cowboys is definitely Tolbert. You can even spend more than 25%, in my opinion. You might be able to bump that up to like 30, 40, right? Xavier Legette, another one. You could bump him up too. It's just he got injured, didn't really get to, there's a lot of hype around him, got injured, didn't really get to prove, didn't really get to show us much. Andy Dalton has kind of regressed every game that he's been starting. So although I do like the prospect, I like how he's looked, right? I just don't know if this offense is going to be able to continue humming. Alec Pierce is another good one. Again, even if Richardson's in the game, he loves Alec Pierce. Adonai Mitchell doesn't seem to be coming along quick enough where I think Alec Pierce is going to remain that deep threat guy. It's a dude that you can start any given week when you're in a pinch. Jordan Whittington ended up leading the Rams again in receptions. They are going into a bye, and Cooper Kupp is coming back after the bye. So unfortunately, 10% fab bid. Throw him at the end of your bench, see what his role looks like with Cooper Kupp coming back. Moving on to quarterbacks, this one's pretty easy. You got Justin Fields at the top because of his rushing upside. Last game, he even looked bad, but he still scored 19 fantasy points. Baker Mayfield, he's been just great this season. It's an offense that we like having the quarterback, and Baker Mayfield has looked pretty good. Kirk Cousins just threw 500 yards. You can't not have him on a waiver wire video. Joe Flacco's a rental. If he starts, you definitely want to pick him up and start him. He's somebody who can throw 303 any given week, especially on this Shane Steichen offense. And then tight ends, bro. This one is also, it's Tucker Kraft, bro. If you need a tight end, if you're very tight end needing, you've been like, bro, I started so I had Dallas Goedert to start the season. First 2 weeks, he did jack fuck all. I dropped him and I picked up Hunter Henry, who popped. And then Hunter Henry did jack fuck all. I dropped him for Cade Otton, jack fuck all. Like, everyone that I pick up and start turns into an absolute jar of farts, dude. It's absolutely insane. So Tucker Kraft, spend everything you have if you need a tight end. Like, I'm so sick of looking for tight ends, and he looks to be a top 5 tight end moving forward. He looks so good after the catch. He doesn't get a lot of volume on this offense, but he's dynamic, dude. Yards after the catch actually is like a weapon for this offense. It is a top offense. Tucker Kraft, open up the coffers, dude. Steal some money from your grandma's purse. Whatever you got to do, get Tucker Kraft, because rest of the season, he's a set it and forget it type dude in my lineup. So Isaiah Likely, I ended up actually picking him up from the waiver wire for free on Sunday morning. Somebody dropped him because they needed space. Ends up getting, I think, 2 receptions for 2 touchdowns. Like, this is not always going to happen, so keep that in mind. That's why I don't have him higher than 20%. Only in the games where the Ravens actually have to throw the ball is a game when Likely might be decent. But keep in mind, you still have Mark Andrews. You still have, like, fucking Cole. It doesn't matter, dude. Lakers in 5. Like, I don't know who this dude is, but he ends up getting a touchdown as well. Pretty much everyone was getting a touchdown. It was like the Oprah Winfrey show, other than Mark Andrews. But Likely's a dude. I wouldn't mind putting him on my team in good matchups, right? Like, you might want to have to play matchups there. Cade Otton, another 5%. Not that excited about him, but he is a piece of the offense. He gets enough work, enough targets, and at this point, anyone with a pulse that gets targets is a decent start. So Hunter Henry and Parkinson. So Parkinson, I think with Kupp returning plus the bye week, and then Kupp returning, Whittington cementing himself, I think Parkinson's not going to have another like double-digit target game. That was like a very fluky week that he just had. But you can do worse, right? A Matthew Stafford tight end still has some value. Hunter Henry, last one, 5%. Fuck Hunter Henry, dude. I don't even know why I have him on this list. Like, the moment you start him, he's going to fucking call in sick, dude. He's going to punch out and head home. And the moment you drop him and he's on the waiver wire, he's going to pop off for 2 touchdowns and 40 yards. So fuck Hunter Henry. I might, you know what? On the fly, dude, we're doing it live. You guys are watching pre and post production, live production. Forget Hunter Henry, dude. I'm taking him off this list. You're in the just because he burned me, bro. Don't take me too seriously right now. But I hate this man. I'm gonna make him a tiny box. All right, bro, that's the waiver wire video, man. We're not going to make this any longer than it needs to be. Stay tuned this week, man. I'm going to be releasing some deep dive videos on specific players. You can head to my channel. Last week, I did a couple videos on like Rashad White, Travis Etienne, a couple more players. I forget exactly who, but head over to the channel. You can find them. I talk about each one. I was pretty accurate going into this week. And yeah, bro, I'll catch you guys in the next video.